Hi, Editing Sage here. I do want to give a little bit of a heads up that today's episode does discuss some dark deaths of some people that can be a little bit triggering to anyone. So I just want to let you guys go ahead and know that if that's something that could possibly be a trigger for you, please do not continue and listen to another episode. I also want to mention that if there are jokes made throughout, we're not being heartless. Just sometimes when we get scared, we do like to make jokes to not relieve ourselves, but to just like cope with something that's heavy. That's just who we are as people, and we're sorry if that offends you. But again, I just want to say that there is a trigger warning for this episode. As also, if the audio does seem weird, I don't know what happened in this last recording, but I had to try to fix the audio. So if it's a little bit messed up, I truly apologize. I have done my best with what I can. So hopefully you guys will enjoy, and I'll let you get back to your content.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan,
And I'm Sage.
and welcome back to the Squeaky Floorboard Society.
We be throwing parties over here.
Yeah, it's always a spooky little party over here. Sage, do you have anything you'd like to talk about before we start?
Yes, I sent you a photo, but wait for to look at that for just a minute. I need
Let me make
someone
sure
to
I got it. I did.
explain cars to me. I did my grocery pickup
Cars.
today, and
Mm-hmm.
I figured if you're in sports mode, it uses a lot. I would think it would use a lot more gas.
Mm-hmm.
But I drove without sports mode on from the town I live into down to like the DMV area, which is like the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. And I drove down there a couple days ago, and I was getting 18 miles per gallon,
Uh-huh.
and that was without sports mode on. I drove through the mountains today about in like the same amount like average drive
Uh-huh.
through the mountains to go get my groceries. And in sports mode, I was getting 25 miles per gallon.
Sports mode might be like efficiency mode.
I don't know. I just know that it helps me get up the hills.
Yeah, it's probably like, and if sorry everyone who's like watching and just saw me slide forward rapidly. I was scooting my chair forward.
Well, here's the thing though is that my car is in eco mode at all times unless I'm in sports mode.
Hmm.
And since I wasn't in
Hmm.
sports mode down to the DMV area, it was an eco.
Hmm. I don't know.
I don't either.
All right, am I looking at this picture?
Yes, because if you guys remember last week, we talked about Manuel Blanco Roma Santa and his passport. And this is mine. It's not really my passport.
It's not as bad as that one lady that I showed you
Yeah.
on TikTok.
Whenever I was down in that area, I had to go somewhere that involved using my ID.
Hmm.
And they did that. It was like a visitor's badge, like the
Oh my
little sticker
goodness.
thing. And when they handed that to me, I looked at that and was like, I could cry right now. What is this? Mine looked horrifying.
Like I said, it's not good, but it's also not that lady who was apparently deep fried for her
Yeah.
passport photo.
Well, when I got
If you
that,
guys don't know what we're talking about, it's this poor lady on TikTok. Her passport photo that they took was just diabolical.
it was. But she did say in the comments that they at least like let her see the good ones prior
Yeah,
to
it's
like.
not the one they it's not the one they used.
But yeah, I don't know what they did to her.
So, here's my small talk. We might remember me talking. I don't know if I talked about it in the episode or if I just talked about it to you.
I think you just talked
I
about
have a
it to me.
oh well, I have a candle here. I've had this candle for like 3 years. I've never used it. I've smelled it, but I've never used it. It's from Bath and Body Works. It's this lovely little moonlit graveyard, and it smells like tombstone moss and fog.
I think the last episode was like that you talked about. I think we did mention it
Hmm.
briefly. Yeah, we did because I was trying to figure out what episode I was doing next. So I was like, if I just keep talking really slow.
Really slow. And if anybody wants a lip gloss recommendation, because I have been wearing lip gloss for the past couple episodes, I was tired of not having any lips. So I put on some lipstick and some gloss. Because I felt like anytime Sage would send me clips, I was like, where's my mouth? Where did it go? Because I'm a white person. It's not even that I have small lips. I just have absolutely no pigment in them, especially in the corners. Like, I look like I died. If I don't put makeup on, I look like I've died last year between the dark circles and the lack of pigment in my lips. You guys, this is not sponsored, obviously, but Fenty is where it's at for lip
There is a
gloss.
video sending to you right now that I forgot to run by you to see if I could post it as one of the TikToks for the page, but I couldn't stop dying and I need you to watch it right now when it comes through. I'm so sorry.
The addition of the horror pops in the background. I like that I did this. Like half of it doesn't even go in my mouth.
When I actually got to watch it, I was like, I wonder if Megan realized. I don't feel like any of that made it to her mouth.
Some of it did. That would have been so much easier with a straw, though. That's incredible. Please post that.
I'm going to whenever the time comes for that episode to come out.
I told you I took a drink.
I was trying to find an audio to put with that. I was like, oh, maybe we could get like someone like drinking tea, but the audio clips weren't long enough. And I think I was talking about like a super heavy topic or like something.
You were talking about something important, and I'm just so weird.
I was watching it. I was like, I gotta cut my audio out of this. What can I put? Oh, I could put horror pops in here.
The other contender that I think would have been really strong was Werewolves of London, where he's talking about I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand.
I didn't know that. I don't know what that is. So like when I was like, oh well, she's a werewolf. You crave a full moon, but I don't care.
I like the vibe of it too because it's like I have that on in the background or something, just casually listening.
Oh, I couldn't stop laughing when I created that.
He's right here, by the way. He's my companion.
He made another reappearance.
You too can have beautiful, luscious lips. He kind of freaks me out because his eyes, like I can see where I should be able to see through. And also, you would think I could see through the pupils of these because of the way they look, but you absolutely cannot.
I believe that.
So, something about his eyes really bothers me.
It's weird that they like catch like the light and turn red like an actual.
I know.
That is scary, actually.
Yeah, like, why do you do that? I just want people to know that I work at like 4 to 5 in the morning, and I get dressed in my office, and so sometimes he's just in here.
He's just
Eyes
watching.
when I turn the lights on. I'm like, hey, because I get dressed in here because I don't want to wake Daryl up. That's rude to do at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
I will. I guess it doesn't. We're both awake when each other are leaving for work.
Yeah, see, he's not. So, and he works evenings. So.
Well, usually Dennis is getting home as I'm getting up for work, and then I'm getting home as he's getting ready for work. But
So
back in
nobody's
the
bothering anyone.
no, because we're both usually like awake. I know I told you the other day that I like was sleeping on the floor in my office.
Oh, yeah, do you want to tell people why that happened?
I found out that I was too old to be sleeping on the floor by the level of which I woke up with back pain. um,
Mm-hmm.
I have severe arachnophobia. Like, I will start sobbing. And I go into our bedroom after like, I was in the bedroom before he left for work, and I was like, looking at the ceiling, because I always do, because for some reason our bedroom has a bunch of spiders, but the rest of the house doesn't. And so I'm going there to lay down, and there's so many spiders on the ceiling. I think Dennis said he killed like 15 when he got home from work. And so I was like, I'm not sleeping in here. I fucking refused to. Like, I was having like a full blown meltdown. And so I came into my office and was like, fuck it, I'm sleeping on my office floor. Brought my pillow and the blanket that was in his office in here. And so there's like the blanket's still on the floor. My pillow's back on the bed. But he got home and he thought I was lying. He thought that I wasn't going to sleep in my office. When he got home and saw that I actually was, he actually went in there and was like trying to find every spider he could to kill him.
I told Sage that if I was close enough, I would come there and I would kill them all with my katana. But that wouldn't make sense for me to do because by the time I got there, Dennis would almost certainly be home to take care of the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, 'cause that was like
Alright.
10 p.m. and he got home at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I think he would have beat me there, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Alright, so today we're kind of back to the Dogman. Okay, this is like Dogman adjacent. And today we're covering 3 cases that I thought were worth closer looks. 2 of them are not expressly Dogman. I was trying to think of the best way to phrase it.
Okay.
These first 2 are cases that the Dogman community has kind of latched onto as possibly being perpetrated by Dogman. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't necessarily think that that's not the case. And then the third one is a little less heavy, but it is kind of scary. It's a family's encounter on their own property with a Dogman. And it's a case that I've always found particularly interesting, which is why I included it here because it didn't really fit anywhere else. Yeah, get your plushie. Go
Do
ahead.
any of your stories take place in Australia?
No. So this first case is the case of Brenda Hamilton. And as we'll see, and I did do further research on this to like see if anything new had come up since the last time I researched it, since I did research this a good while ago. Nothing new has happened. They're still looking for answers. So Brenda Hamilton of Beaufort County, North Carolina, was a well-loved member of her community. At 77 years old, she was described as the matriarch of the school she taught at, Pungo Christian Academy. She had been a teacher for 51 years after all. Long time to be a teacher.
Yeah. Oh my
She was
god.
also a wife and a mother, and those who knew her actually referred to her as an angel. Unfortunately, Brenda Hamilton would meet a brutal end that she could not be less deserving of. On February 5th, 2019, Brenda Hamilton went out for an early morning walk in the Pantego area. At about 5:30 a.m., residents were awakened by the sound of their dogs barking non-stop. They went out to investigate what could possibly be setting their dogs off to such a degree. What they found was Brenda Hamilton, lying in a ditch, partially submerged in the water. There was a trail of blood from the spot in the road where the attack must have taken place to the edge of the ditch in which she lay. First responders on the scene said she had, and this is a quote, catastrophic damage to both her arms, both legs, and her scalp. And she had been partially consumed while she was still alive.
Oh my god.
She would sadly pass away in the hospital 3 days later.
So she was alive when they found
She
her?
was still alive when they found her.
Oh my god.
Like I said, this was an absolutely brutal way to go. Because this poor woman she meets a horrific end.
Oh
And
my
by all accounts, she
goodness.
was just a wonderful, wonderful person. But this left a single burning question: who or what killed Brenda Hamilton? Many theories were posited by locals. Wolves, coyotes, dogs, mountain lions, and bears were all suggested. Someone even said they had seen a panther in the woods, and perhaps it was to blame. The sheriff immediately pushed the theory that it was a wild dog. Everyone assumed that once the DNA evidence gathered at the scene came back, that all their questions would be answered. But that's not what happened. If anything, the DNA evidence gave them more questions than answers. Scientists were able to say that the DNA was canine in nature, but they were unable to tell exactly what kind. Anna Marie Clark, the analyst who examined the DNA, said it was likely that of a domesticated dog, but she could not tell for sure, or even what kind of dog it may have been. She could tell that it was not a wolf, not a bear, and not a coyote, though. In her opinion, she believes it was a pack of local dogs based on the DNA and blood splatter from the scene, and that based on the damage, the dogs were all at least 50 pounds. Absolutely no one was satisfied with this answer, though. For one, the conclusion from the evidence seemed a bit shaky to most people. For another, they DNA tested local dogs and tested stool samples from dogs that were roaming the area, and none of it matched the DNA from the scene. No one had noticed any aggressive packs of dogs in the area, and those things don't usually go entirely unnoticed.
Yeah.
The only person who seemed happy with this answer, according to a county commissioner, was the sheriff. I couldn't find which county commissioner actually wrote the article because it was published under a local group, but in his opinion, the sheriff decided immediately that it was wild dogs and pushed the investigation to go in that direction. In addition, he actually alleges that the sheriff botched the investigation with poor evidence handling, but he does not say whether it was intentional or just incompetence.
I feel like it's probably intentional because if that's like, oh, there's something spooky in the town that could get any of us, then
I will say
oh,
I haven't seen any other attacks in this area since this has happened because I've kind of kept an eye on it, unless something's happened recently that I don't know. But yeah, I mean, a lot of what's happening in this case doesn't make sense. Why is the sheriff so dead set on an explanation, certain explanation? Why, if none of the dogs in the area match the forensic evidence, what dog did it? Because based on the damage to Brenda Hamilton, it sounds like it either had to be the biggest dog in the world or a pack of dogs. And I would be actually pretty satisfied with the pack of dogs answer if they could tell me anything about what kind of dog may have done it. If they
yeah,
could say this is because usually in dog attacks you can analyze bite patterns,
yeah,
but they were unable to do that at all. Like even when it's packs of dogs, typically they can at least pull one bite pattern
yeah,
and say, well, we don't know what they all were, but this dog was a German Shepherd. This dog was a pit bull. I mean, they're super good apparently at identifying when pit bulls attack people. They can't figure out what kind of dog killed Brenda Hamilton, how many dogs.
and
And
that's
so a lot of
so
people are
shocking that like,
right.
sorry, my mind's kind of blown, but I also got chills when you were telling this story.
Yeah, I mean, it gave me chills because one, that's just a horrific thing to have happen to you. And she was partially consumed while she was still alive. The other thing that doesn't make sense to me is that, and a lot of people pointed this out, there weren't, if your dogs are going bananas and she's being attacked, you would think somebody would have seen
Or
something.
heard it.
Right. There were, generally, when packs of dogs attack people, there's yipping, there's barking, there's growling.
Yeah,
There was none of that. And I would think at 5:30 in the morning, at least some people were up,
yeah.
getting ready for work,
And that
or
feels like it would
just
make a lot of noise that like you would at least wake up and be like, what was that?
right. And everybody's like, "Oh, my dogs are going nuts, so I'm gonna go outside and see what's happening." I would think as well that a pack of dogs that was hungry enough to do something like this wouldn't be deterred by someone coming out to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Because typically packs of dogs that are attacking people, either A, they have rabies, and so they're not scared of humans at all, so that they wouldn't have left.
yeah,
If anything, they'd go try to attack the other dogs that are barking at them, bothering them. Or two, they're hungry and they're not going to give up their prey.
yeah,
Now you can say now some people have said maybe she was that maybe they were trying to drag her off and that's how she ended up in the ditch. Possible. But I would have think that they wouldn't have at least one dog wouldn't have left her.
yeah,
Probably like a really territorial chihuahua or something.
yeah,
But and a lot of people have been quick to point this out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Dogman killed Brenda Hamilton because I think that's kind of a crazy thing to say.
yeah.
But in the context of other cases, such as stuff that's happened in LBL, is it that crazy?
I can believe the portal theory for that one.
Dogman, yeah, Dogman just dips.
I that's the only way that like any of it would make sense is the portal theory. If like if you're claiming it's Dogman, then the portal theory I feel like would make sense specifically right here.
And on top of it, too, it's easier. We know that Dogman operates with a level of intelligence. We know that Dogman is aware that humans can be dangerous. You know, it in the Martin Groves story, it does appear to take pause when presented with a firearm. And it's easier for one very agile, very fast Dogman to escape notice once it realizes people are coming. I mean, you would think that that pack of dogs when they were leaving would be yipping and barking and just being nasty as they ran off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's really no good explanation for what could have done it, based on the fact that nobody saw anything, the severity of her injuries, and the fact that no dogs in the area. You would think that those dogs, if they've partially consumed her, there would be stool
Yeah.
from those dogs. And they tested stool samples from just dogs that were roaming the area, and none of them matched. You would think at least one dog would match.
Yeah.
And
Or
then
at
you could
least
say,
be
oh,
like close
okay.
enough match to be like,
hmm
that's so crazy.
And yeah, this is one of those cases that I don't like to interject cryptozoology and stuff into like actual cases of actual people that are harmed. But I feel like this is one of those cases that it's so shocking and unbelievable that I'm almost willing to believe this more than I am to accept the coroner's explanation because a lot of people don't accept it. There's a reason
Yeah.
the dogman community's latched onto it. Her own family doesn't like what
Yeah.
the coroner
That,
said. We will probably never know exactly what happened to Brenda Hamilton. Evidence points to some kind of canine, but as of right now, we have no clue which one. This case leaves so many questions. What attacked Brenda? If it was dogs, why haven't we found them or seen them? Is there an unknown danger lurking in this community still? If it wasn't dogs, what was it? Why was the sheriff so quick to blame dogs and so against any other theory? Because that's one of the things the county commissioner points out is that the sheriff does not want to even hear anything else.
that's
Was there a cover?
suspicious.
Was there a cover up? All we have right now are theories. Of course, there are those who accept the pack of dogs theory as the best answer. One common animal brought up is some sort of wolf dog coyote hybrid. A wolf dog could possibly do some
Yeah.
serious damage, but once again, we're raised with the of what motive is it attacking someone for? Because a hungry dog's not going to leave its food like that.
No.
You've tried to take a chicken nugget away from a chihuahua.
Yeah. Brutal.
There are also those who question whether the introduction of the red wolf to a wildlife preserve to the northeast could have played a part in this. That that would be cover up territory because the government's introduced something and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like it was a
And it,
fucked up thing to do. They started killing people. I
yeah,
could
I
see
could see
that being
that.
covered up. And there are those who believe that a dogman or werewolf may have done this. No matter what the answer is, Brenda's death was a very real tragedy that deserves some kind of very real closure.
Yeah.
And there is a change.org petition started by a local resident to reopen the case. I did link that in this document so that we could put it down there if anyone is interested. It's
Okay.
still active because, yeah, this was a nice old lady who was mauled to death by something, and the county refuses to do her justice. And there's people in her community that are speaking out saying that it was handled badly and that the case needs to be reopened. And
Yeah.
that's part of the reason that, like I said, I don't like necessarily interjecting cryptozoology into very real cases. But one, this is one that is considered to be kind of dogman adjacent. Two, I see how people got there. And three,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity here for people to actually chime in and try to make a difference here.
And I like
So,
that.
yeah, I did sign the petition.
I will sign it when I go to grab the stuff from this one from your doc.
What do you think?
I could see every other theory other than Dogman unless we're specifically talking about the portal theory. Because I feel like that's the only one that would make sense out of all of the Dogman stories.
Right.
Because he's never seemed, in all of the stories we've talked about, he doesn't seem to care
Right.
if he's eating and you see him. He's
Right.
not given a single F about anyone that's seen him.
Right. Now, I will say that that was with all the times he's been seen eating, he's been eating animals,
Yeah.
roadkill. And if he is as intelligent, if he's intelligent enough to use portals, he's probably intelligent enough to know that if you get caught eating a person, that's not good. Yeah, the portal theory makes for a quick entry and a quick escape.
Which would explain why nobody would have like seen you or heard you, but like there's also the chance that like a portal opening and closing causes metal scraping sounds. So I feel like I could. I also don't believe a pack of dogs.
That's my thing. I don't believe a pack of dogs could have done it just because, like, we have enough strayed packs of dogs around here that I'm familiar enough with their behavior. Now, granted, none of them are super duper hungry, but I just think it's strange that nobody saw anything.
Like, yeah. And especially, like you said, they would be making a lot of noise. There would be growling, there would be yipping, there would be possibly fights breaking out.
Now, some of that, sure, could be masked by the neighborhood dogs, but I would think that somebody going out to check on it would have seen something, and nobody did.
Yeah, and
And that's where
so,
part of the confusion in this case comes in, is because there's not anybody that's witnessed anything.
yeah, and that's weird.
It's a strange case, and I'm almost inclined, and this is, if I end up assassinated, we know the sheriff did it. The sheriff's reaction to it almost makes me think it was a police dog.
You know what's so funny what you say that is because I was like, oh my god, the sheriff's a werewolf.
That was my first. I was gonna say that as a joke, but then I was like, wait. It actually makes more sense that it's like one of his canines or something that got rogue. No, maybe those are the two possibilities in my mind. Either it's a from the canine unit, or it's one of the sheriff's fucking dogs. Um, or two, the sheriff is a werewolf.
Yeah, see, I could believe those way more than I'm likely to believe that it was a pack of dogs.
Somebody would have seen something if it's a whole, especially a pack of dogs where they're all at least 50 pounds.
Yeah,
Those are hard to, that kind of pack's hard to miss.
and like I don't know if there's how many reports of like wild packs of dogs there are around there, but I feel like
Looked into animal control records.
it seems like at that point then you would know like, oh, they hang out around this area, maybe carry protection. But if there's like
Right.
no evidence of them being around there, really?
Like animal control wasn't frequently called out to that area for stuff. Like it's just a normal area. Like you typically, like you can even look in like police blotters and you can see when animal control's been called.
Yeah.
There's nothing to suggest that there's a pack of wild dogs out there. Thing is that I do genuinely hope that the case is reopened and her family and the community. Because there's people in the community that are still like nervous because they're like, well, if it is a pack of dogs, we haven't found them.
Yeah.
And
So
it could happen again.
it's
The thing that gets the thing that got me so bad reading this was that she was partially they said she was partially consumed, and they said that before they said she was still alive. So I was like, oh, that's rough. And then I was like, oh,
that yeah,
that's horrific.
I don't believe. I could understand how Dogman gets tied into this, but
That's my thing. I can understand how I know why people are bringing you up, but I don't believe it.
yeah, like I either the sheriff's a werewolf or one of his dogs or one of the canine units.
Or just somebody that he's like close with,
Mm-hmm.
because as we all know, small town sheriffs are not above covering for their nasty little friends. I'm not saying anything about our current sheriff because I don't know him, but
Is
or
it?
even the past one, but I know from just generalized experiences. I try to avoid run-ins with law enforcement as much as possible. His kid play I do know that his kid plays next to at the house next to my parents. His son's good friends with their neighbor's son. So, my mom knows who he is. Yeah.
Sorry, I looked it up and
What?
Google's telling me that that town has no sheriff.
Because he's a werewolf. I do genuinely hope that this case is reopened so that the family and the community can get some closure and it can reassure them.
Yeah.
And, you know, if there is a threat out there from dogs, coyotes, whatever, you know, that's the most important thing at this point is that they can find them or figure it out just
Yeah.
so people know and everyone can stay safe.
Yeah, cuz not knowing is way worse.
Not knowing is worse. Or God forbid, you know, the dogs were rabid.
Yeah.
Because you don't want rabies in your community.
No.
That's happening in some places right now because people won't vaccinate their damn pets. So
Sorry, that made me think of the email we got about a rabid skunk on campus.
vaccinate, yeah. So vaccinate your pets. Vaccinate your campus skunks. And sheriff, I'm watching you. I'll see you next full moon, buddy.
we're gonna stalk you on the full moon.
Yeah, just show up at his house. You feeling a little furry? Man, this might be a hairy situation for you. This is giving me. This situation gives me some pause.
There's an edit in the last video where you said, "That's nonsense." And I'm just staring at you and I added a laugh track.
So this next case comes from my home state, Texas.
Oh, well, yeah, sorry.
I'm from Texas originally, you goober. So this one comes from my home state of Texas. This is another case that people are not satisfied with the explanation. The dogman community has latched onto it. And this is another case that, once again, do I really think that Dogman did it? Probably not. But because it is Dogman adjacent, and these people just like this guy deserves justice. And the more people that talk about it, the better.
Is it kind of similar to like Hamilton's case? Not like in the same aspect, but like
Yeah, somewhat. Although I don't think the sheriff in this story is a werewolf.
all right.
And nor do I think it was his dog.
Okay.
Nor do I think that the deputy is a werewolf or anyone involved.
Okay.
So, this is the case of Christopher Allen Whiteley. Christopher Allen Whiteley was a 28-year-old resident of Hood County, Texas. He was a multiple count violent offender with a history of drug abuse. Not that that excuses what happened to him, but it is relevant if you know anything about the criminal environment in Texas. Since he didn't have a license, he often hitchhiked to work. On December 2nd of 2020, he left at approximately 9 a.m. to do just that, and that was the last time anyone saw him alive. The sheriff, so his I don't remember if it's his mom or his girlfriend, one of them reports him missing. And the sheriff's department searched for him the following evening, and they found his deceased body in a thicket of brush so dense they could barely believe they'd seen him. He had apparently been taking a shortcut through the thick brush when he was killed. They weren't necessarily shocked to find him dead, as the man had led a troubled life. But his manner of death did shock them. His throat had been torn open from ear to ear. He had multiple tiny scratches all over his head. Strangely enough, his shirt was also missing. The preliminary report from a medical examiner stated that Whiteley was killed by a mountain lion. But this cause of death invoked more questions than it answered. There weren't mountain lions in the area, nor has Texas ever reported a fatal mountain lion attack. The deputy medical examiner who signed off on the cause of death stated that the puncture wounds on Whiteley's neck were consistent with those from a mountain lion. But if there are no mountain lions where the attack took place, what killed Christopher Whiteley?
Why did it take his shirt? If it's a mountain lion, why did it take its shirt?
I think that he had his shirt off when the attack happened because it was hot. Probably he was walking at 9 a.m. in Texas. Yes, it's December, but Texas is different. It can be. I didn't look back at weather records, I admit. But I've been in Texas before in December and been like, man, it's kind of hot. So he might have just taken his shirt off because he got hot walking and his
Okay.
shirt was lost in the scuffle.
Okay.
That's my personal conjecture.
Because I was like, if it's a mountain lion, why did it take his shirt?
It's just out there wearing it. Oh, I look so good. So specialists were called in to confirm what killed Whiteley. Both Jonah Evans, a mammologist for TPWD,
Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
Texas, wow, Texas, it's just something wildlife department. It's a government agency.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't spell it out at any point. As well as Britton Stuckey, a Hood County game warden, both examined the scene and both reached the same conclusion. This was not a mountain lion attack. Mike Bodenchuk, the director of Wildlife Services Texas, as well as being an experienced mountain lion trapper, also became involved. Based on his expert opinion, Whiteley was probably killed by an animal, but that animal was not a mountain lion. All three men cited similar evidence, such as the lack of tracks, the lack of kill site trappings, the manner in which Whiteley was actually killed, and the fact that his body had not been stuck in a I always say this word wrong, cache, for the lion to return to later. Jim Vaught, an expert who has investigated a confirmed fatal mountain lion attack on a human, told one of the people involved with the investigation that he was sure Whiteley was not killed by a mountain lion as well. In order to find out what animal did kill Whiteley, DNA testing would be the best way to know for sure. However, the medical examiner's office washed the body almost immediately, eliminating almost all DNA evidence.
That feels
Once
intentional.
once they put the cause of death in and they said, "Oh, we think it's a mountain lion attack," they washed the body. Because they said, "Oh, we already have the cause of death. There's no need for anything further." There's just so in this story, it's actually just a random guy working at the medical examiner's office who's a werewolf. He's not even the medical examiner. He's just the guy who washes the bodies. He's like, "I gotta get up."
That. Do they have any other speculations outside of mountain lion?
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
They did have fingernail clippings. So fingernail clippings sent to a lab didn't show any traces of feline DNA. The only DNA evidence that ever came back were 2 hairs removed from Whiteley's clothes that ended up being canine hairs.
Did
You
he?
see where this is going?
Yeah. Did he own a
I know
dog?
what you're gonna ask. However, it is contended that no dogs lived with Whiteley or his girlfriend at the time. His mom had a dog, but he hadn't been at his mom's. And they couldn't identify the specific type of dog.
See, and as we've talked about, they can identify the type of breeds.
So this raises the new question of whether or not a dog killed Whiteley, and if so, what kind of dog could take down a grown man so easily? Because you have to remember, yes, he had some small scratches on his head, but he was found in a dense thicket. So that could have come from the thicket.
Yeah.
There's no injuries to his arms, his legs. It's just his entire throat being ripped out, literally from ear to ear.
You know what my mind's jumping to?
What?
And I don't know why. Well, I guess it wouldn't make sense. Never mind. Ignore me.
No, tell me what you were thinking. Because when you said that, I thought of the hash slinging slasher.
No, I was like, with its throat being slashed, like there's no bite marks other than just like a little bit of dog hair, right?
What?
There's no oh, I guess I want to put this in here real quick. If you all are like, wow, your guys' mouths are not in sync with the audio, we don't know whose internet's acting up, but one of us is, and we can't figure out the problem. So there might be like some hard jumps where things get cut off, and that is because we just keep freezing.
Yeah, we thought about filming this episode together, but large distance.
I think it's only like 691 miles, I think.
So what were you saying? Because you were frozen for literally that entire point you just made.
Well, I stopped talking. I didn't make a point. I stopped talking completely.
You said something about like bite marks.
Yeah, I asked. His throat was slashed, and besides the scratches, there was no bite marks, was there?
Nope. And it wasn't a clean slash.
My mind instantly went to the chupacabra, and I don't know why.
Because it attacks its victims in the neck, but it doesn't slash their throats. It is puncture.
Yeah, and it usually drinks the blood.
Now, Bodenchuck posited that a pit bull had the power, but he says that none could have made the jump directly to Whiteley's throat because the evidence points to Whiteley standing when he was killed. He wasn't killed on the ground. Whiteley was standing up when he was killed. So whatever got his throat was able to reach the throat of a grown man standing upright. And he's not a short man. He's just an average dude. They're able to rip his throat out while he's standing without biting him anywhere else or clawing him anywhere else.
And in my experience, because I have a pity downstairs, they're not very tall breeds.
No, they're stocky. It's kind of hard for them to jump like that.
Yeah, and also like, I'm gonna assume this guy's roughly the height of my husband.
I'm not quite sure how tall he was. And I'm not sure how tall your husband is either, if I'm being honest.
I think he's 5'9".
Okay.
But I feel like that's pretty average height.
That's fairly average.
So, but like, Blue is nowhere near Dennis's neck.
No, even with a running start, I think it would be hard for almost any dog to get up there.
Yeah.
You would need something that's like mastiff height.
And even
You
then,
know,
like,
they don't have the power necessarily.
no.
And you have to also take into consideration that there's no self-defense wounds, there's no nothing.
So
So whatever
did he die
the
on impact, do they think? Do you know?
the throat wound was the fatal wound.
All right, but did he die like instantly or did he have like
We don't know. I couldn't find that information.
okay.
But it doesn't say it broke his neck or anything, so I think it's quite likely he just bled out.
Okay, so
Now, if it took both his jugular veins, it was extremely quick bleed out
yeah.
within a matter of like seconds, probably. He was probably dead within 30 seconds at most.
Yeah.
You know, it would be. You would think that if it was a dog, there would be some defense wounds as he threw his hands up or something,
Yeah.
which implies either A, it was so fast he never saw it coming, B, it was something that made him unable to defend himself in some way, like shock
Yeah.
of what was happening, or B, it got him from behind and somehow got his throat, so he didn't see it. Because I know even if a dog ran up on me, no matter what dog it was, whether it was behaving aggressively or not, I would instinctively,
Went to block.
And so that's part of the reason that this case is so strange is the lack of any other wounds. There's not dirt under his nails from a scuffle. His pants aren't obscenely dirty.
That is so strange. Did they ever
And
account where his shirt was either?
no,
That's
they've
so
never found
weird.
his shirt.
That's so weird.
So, given all of this confusion, there are a gazillion theories floating around. One that has taken root in the dogman community is that Whiteley was killed by the dogman. While people are not reporting seeing mountain lions, they have reported seeing dogman in the surrounding area. It would explain the presence of dog hairs on his clothes as well as his throat being torn out while standing. There isn't a ton of evidence to say it was dogman, but the theories gained some traction. The theory that I actually most likely think that it was is I believe he was murdered.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking. This like
but I think that he's not too far off with his idea of a pit bull, but I don't believe it was some random attack. I think he pissed off somebody in, who another, maybe a drug dealer. Drug dealers are known down there, especially for having very aggressive dogs. Um, and this person has a trained attack dog that killed him because that kind of dog. Oh, either you are in a state of total zen with your eyes closed, or you're frozen again. You indeed were frozen. You were frozen. I said either you're in a state of total zen with your eyes closed,
I
and
heard, I
then you like went like this, and it froze like that. I was like, she's having a religious experience.
I was like sitting here and I was like looking at you, which granted this light on above me makes me look very Asian, which I recently found out that I have hooded eyelids. I didn't know that.
I do too.
But when you said that, I was like, I heard you up until you said either you're in a state of zen or you're frozen, and then you went quiet on your end. So I'm just over here dancing, like maybe she'll come back.
So, what do you think about what happened to this poor man?
I believe that it was a murder. I don't. This doesn't feel dogman to me.
Like, yes, Texas has had a lot of dogman sightings, but my thing is, I think given his very troubled past, I think that it's more likely that he was killed by somebody who had issues with him.
Yeah, and
And I think it's a great disservice to him that they categorized it as a mountain lion death when there's probably someone out there that needs justice handed to them.
yeah, and like so I had to do a little bit of dogman research,
Hmm.
and it doesn't seem like they're like the cases that I had to look into for some that I was looking into, he's not someone that enjoys that.
Right.
He's
Like,
more of like a, I want to scare you as much as I can.
the exception to this is, of course, the LBL dogman,
Yeah.
which I've watched some very interesting stuff since I covered LBL, and some of it actually wasn't out when I first started doing my research. Um, so there is a case that some dogmen are extremely aggressive, but unlike the Brenda Hamilton case, where I just have absolutely no clue beyond maybe the sheriff being a werewolf,
Yeah.
this one has what I think is a fairly logical explanation to it.
Yeah.
However, I do think that it's interesting we don't know what kind of dog did it.
Yeah. I I stick with the whole I think that it was a murder. Like,
Right. And quite frankly, maybe this is somebody the police don't want to deal with.
it could be. Well, because I know that,
There is a lot of cartel activity.
well, that and also like sometimes they have CIs that are like they're dealers, but they're CIs, and if they need something, they
Mhm.
give them everything that they want, and if you arrest them, they're not going to want to work for you anymore.
Right. I mean, there's so much that there could possibly be.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that it's look, it doesn't have to be a cover up. They could have genuinely just, mischaracterized it at the
Yeah.
beginning, and then they've washed the body and they're kind of stuck. They kind of have to go with that theory now.
Yeah.
But the amount of it wasn't a mountain lion. We can pretty safely say that at this point. I think it's more likely it was Dogman than it was a mountain lion.
Yeah.
But I don't think Dogman's the likely culprit either.
I'm more
Because we don't have records of aggressive dogmen in Texas either. It's mostly just like the fear eater type.
I'm more likely to believe Dogman over Mountain Lion and murder over Dogman.
But this is a case that people are still talking about. It is still ongoing. You know, I don't. I doubt any of our. Well, I don't want to say I doubt. I don't know. Look, if you live in this community or live near it, you should be pushing for answers.
Yeah.
Because his mother and his girlfriend are not happy either, from what I understand. They don't believe this.
So
Like,
he,
they don't believe his mountain lion. They want answers too.
well, and then I know that they said his previous past, was he cleaning up and like trying to get his life straight?
Hard to say. His relationship with his girlfriend was reportedly a little rocky, but I don't think she sicked a dog on him.
Yeah. Oh, I was just asking if like,
Right. That's the only
cause,
thing I could really find about his current life.
all right, cause I
Was that his
wasn't like,
relationship with his girlfriend was rocky.
cause I didn't know if it was like, oh yeah, he was into all of this shit, and now he's actually actively trying to get better.
I'm not 100% sure.
I think that one was murder.
I think it was murder too. And that means there's somebody out there that still needs to be dealt with.
Yep.
Not necessarily the dog. The dog's just doing what it's trained to do. But we should probably not have that dog out and about
Yeah.
either in that person's hands.
Yeah.
Now, our final case to cover is there's no murder.
Okay.
Thank goodness we're out of murder territory. Because, you got to be careful what you say when covering these kinds of cases. Because they involve real people, and you don't want to make light of something you shouldn't make light of. But nobody dies in this one, so we're back into regular territory here. And our final case to cover is the harrowing case of the Martin family from Palmyra, Maine. This name may ring a bell to those of you who watch Paranormal Witness. They did do an episode on it. I have seen it.
I know that we talked about it during Jane Thompson's story. That's
Yeah.
all of my knowledge.
So, after losing his job, Eric Martin and his wife Shelley had to make the difficult choice to move somewhere cheaper. They eventually found a farmhouse in Palmyra, Maine. It was a country home on a large lot surrounded by dense woods, and this isolation was much to the chagrin of their teenage daughter Chelsea. But the move happened nonetheless.
Yeah.
One of the things that Shelley really loved about the property was the barn near the house, because Eric could store his guns there. Eric storing his many hunting guns in the house had long been a point of contention in their marriage. At his wife's behest, Eric locked up all his guns in the barn. I'm guessing he doesn't still do that. The family did eventually settle in, and things went well for a while. The very first indication that something might be amiss came one night when Eric and Shelley were having their nightly cup of coffee on the porch. They noticed some lights out in the field in the darkness. Concerned that it may be poachers, they investigated but found nothing. Then Chelsea and her boyfriend found a strange den while on a walk in the woods with the family dogs. The dogs seemed to be afraid of the den, and they all quickly retreated back home. None of these seemingly minor incidents could have prepared the family for the horror that was about to unfold. One night, while once again enjoying their nightly coffee ritual, they noticed something out in the field. Eric must have had the keener eyes, because he abruptly insisted that they go inside. Shelley soon saw it too. There were three canine creatures covered in fur, standing upright, with eyes that reflected their flashlight beam back at them. They had short, pointed ears atop their heads and short tails. They had long snouts and a slightly hunched posture. As Eric and Shelley moved back inside their home, they noticed two other creatures attempting to sneak up to the porch where they were standing. Yeah, that's yucky. I don't like that. Once they were spotted, the creatures stood up from walking on all fours to a bipedal run, which is even worse. Eric and Shelley fled into their house and locked the windows and doors. As they sat inside, they could hear the beasts walking around the house, apparently looking for entry. They peeked out of the windows at one point to see all five creatures sitting in the driveway in front of the porch, just waiting for them to come back outside, it seemed.
That's
The
horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good. It's not really what you want to see. This is not the only instance of Dogman trying to break into someone's home. Which, horrible. There's another story from, I want to say Kentucky, where the Dogman is trying to get into a woman's home, and it shoves its hand through an open window and grabs her uncle. And they shoot at it, and just, it doesn't harm it, but it does let go of the uncle.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
foul. I hate that.
So we're in kind of that scary Dogman territory.
Well, that just brought me back to whenever me and Dennis did the gaming channel. We played Bigfoot, and I remember being like, I'm in the RV. I'm safe. And then I was snatched out of the RV by Bigfoot. And the panic I
Yeah.
felt, that's the same panic I just got in my chest.
Yeah. Like you think you'd be safe, but you're not.
Yeah.
So the family tried to call the police, but when Shelley accidentally let on that it was not a person stalking their home, they were told to just stay put and avoid going outside. Which, fair, but I
Yeah.
would maybe say he was.
I did not hear anything
Huh?
after the uh the cops were like, just stay put. You froze.
It's okay, since they now realized they would have to deal with this on their own. Eric made an attempt to get the guns from the barn. However, he was startled by the motion light. Stupid. And dropped his keys, which the sound of which alerted the creatures to his presence outside.
I think it's stupid that you made him put the guns in the barn.
Yeah, I bet you are wishing they were in your house right now.
Even if he kept one in the house.
Right.
I'm not saying
Just
keep
one.
your entire collection in the house, just like one or two
One.
in case
You do live in the country.
something like this happens. You have it like my gun stays in my nightstand because I lay the wrong way on the bed. It's right above my head so that it's like it's positioned upside down so that if someone comes in, it's a quick grab and I've already got my finger on the trigger and I can aim.
Right. So he sprints back into the house just in time. They make it to the door right after him.
Oh,
The family, because their daughter is there too, the family spent the rest of the night huddled together, waiting for morning. When morning finally came, they found massive dog tracks with huge claw markings, as well as some fur stuck along the porch. They were so afraid after this incident that they packed up and sold the house soon after. The family has always maintained their story and has even been featured. The family has always maintained their story and has even been featured on Paranormal Witness. However, Eric and Shelley were apparently unhappy with the embellishments made by the production team. if you've seen the episode, you know it is a very, very dramatic encounter in the episode, and they say it wasn't that dramatic. They weren't doing all that extra shit. It's just exactly what this was. And they don't like that because they feel like it's made their story unbelievable. Which
I
I
can
understand.
understand. Yeah, I was like, I can understand. Like if they, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. What are your thoughts on this case?
I believe this one.
Yeah, I do too.
Has there
I
ever
do too.
been a story? So okay, I know that he's bipedal. I know the dogman's bipedal. Does he have opposable thumbs?
Hmm.
So theoretic. Well, yeah, because he opened the cherry bomb muffler, or tried to.
He was, yeah, he was.
But has he ever been like tried to open a door, like to a
Yes.
house?
Yes. Yes.
All right, 'cause, like I never found any of that in the
And
research I was
also,
doing, but mine all took place on a river.
if the camper story did happen, it would have to open the RV door.
Oh, that's true. I guess in my mind, I just picture that he like broke a window and like he yeeted the family out like Bigfoot did to me in the
No.
game.
He would. The door was open.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that he couldn't have just like ripped it off its hinges, I guess.
And I guess it never really tells us that like for sure that like Dogman opened the door.
Right. But I would. My concern is if he's got thumbs, he can drive and he can use a gun.
To be in New York traffic and look over and Dogman's driving a taxi cab next to you.
When I tell you that that's actually not that exact thing, not Dogman, but somebody did report that they were driving one time and they looked over and the other driver was a dog-headed individual, like a cynocephaly.
That would be horrifying.
My first thought would be Anubis.
That's what my mind went to. My mind was like Anubis, but then I was like, I'm not gonna say that.
But yeah, so I do tend to believe the Martin family. I think that this sounds pretty plausible in
Yeah,
terms of Dogman stuff. The Paranormal Witness episode I don't find as plausible because they did indeed make a lot of very dramatic investments. But
I,
overall,
yeah, I believe that this one. I can believe this one as a Dogman.
the
The
thing that interests
other
me,
two,
right?
iffy, iffy.
The thing that interests me the most about this is that it would support a facet of Dogman that we don't see very often, which is pack behavior.
That is true.
Now they could all be related. This could be a family.
Still a pack
But there's
though.
no, I mean, they didn't really say, oh, we think juveniles, oh, we think that. But, and it's the same as the Martin Grove story. A lot of times dogmen are solitary, but in his story, there's 4 dogmen.
And two
This one's got
Bigfoots.
5. So, you know,
Yeah,
there is an element of pack behavior that we are seeing increase. Imagine getting jumped by a bunch of dogmen. That would suck
that would suck.
and be very scary. I would just die.
What? So, okay, actually, I want to propose a theory.
Okay.
With the portal theory and is it the Martin Groves?
Yes.
All right, so with that, is there, because like that in that story, we talk about Bigfoot being in control of Dogman and portal theory and all
Hmm.
that stuff.
Hmm.
So let's say on this other side of the portal, we don't know what that world looks like, but what if them being part of a group and trying to do things is an initiation to something?
It could be. It could be. I
Because
mean, we don't. Because, yeah, you're right. I mean, these are both. They're almost similar incidents in a way. And that, especially in the fact that we know that in the Martin Grove story, one dogman came from the front and there were more to the sides and behind.
yeah,
So, which is not dissimilar to the way these dogmen tried to flank them on the porch.
yeah. I honestly am really fascinated with the portal theory, if you can't tell.
No, I think it's fascinating too. It's the idea that, the reason that we can't see some of these creatures is because they're not from here makes sense to me.
And I like that theory because it does make sense. But like just hypothetically, since we don't know what's happening on the other side of this portal,
Hmm.
it makes me wonder like because almost almost all of the stories that I've read specifically in the area that I was researching Dogman, they're all solitary. So for the
Hmm.
fact that they're all together, it makes me wonder if it is the portal theory, is there an initiation thing that they're going through?
Is this maybe their first time coming over?
Yeah, which
So
would be,
they're doing it in a group
and then they
before they
can
do it
learn
alone.
from each other, and that would make sense to me.
That makes sense to me too. So are any of these stories evidence of a murderous dogman? Maybe, maybe not. I think that in the first two cases, it's less important to determine what killed them for the sake of argument, and far more important to figure it out for the sake of their families and communities. I actually hope that the explanation for these is completely mundane so that action can actually be taken to prevent any further tragedy, or in Christopher Whiteley's case, people can be brought to justice if it was a homicide. Part of the reason I wanted to feature Brenda Hamilton's story is because her family is actively petitioning for people to help them get answers. So the more people that are aware of the petition, the better. As for the Palmyra Wolf Pack story, I doubt that there is a normal explanation. I think that the Martin story could be really strong evidence for Dogman's existence. But, as usual, we want to know what you guys think.
I will look something up while you were finishing off that real quick. So
Mhm.
I know for a fact, because I've been able to find websites linking me to this, which was the FBI's file on Bigfoot.
Right,
And
right,
I
I'm
wanted to
listening.
see if they had one on Dogman.
Do they?
According to this, they do not. But
Hmm.
the Bigfoot one is public knowledge. That doesn't mean that there are ones that aren't.
There, Bigfoot's been out for so long though, as like a thing that a lot of people genuinely do believe in,
Yeah.
that it's a safe thing to put out.
Yeah.
Kind of like they're willing to disclose a lot of shit about aliens now because so many people are like, dude, we know.
I remember when someone, there was a big protest about the Epstein files, and they're like, oh, here's proof of aliens. And it's like, that's not what we asked for.
Right. I know that's a thing. Tell me the things that I don't know are maybe a thing.
Yeah.
I know there's aliens in the ocean, and that's why we stopped going there.
Oh, I have to tell you this real quick. Um, there was a skit I was watching. It's this improv people that they do shows, and they were like, "Who can die the best with the best thing that'll shock the audience?" So it was the prompt that they were given. So one guy was in charge of stabbing, and the other guy had to come up with something to like. And so he comes into the room and goes, "Guys, I found the Epstein list," and then he gets stabbed, and he looks at the guy that stabbed him and goes, "But you weren't on it. Why are you doing this?" And then dies. That's sorry, that just popped into my head.
It's okay. It's fine.
But yeah,
I feel like that's a relevant contribution here.
I do believe
But
the last one. The
yeah,
second one,
I,
no, that's a murder.
yeah.
The
I
first
mean,
one, I'm undecided.
the first one I don't know. I don't know what makes the most sense there. And obviously, neither of us are in law enforcement. Neither of us are investigators. Neither of us are criminologists or anything like that. But we are people with, functioning brains most of the time and some common sense.
Yeah,
And, we can tell when shit doesn't add up.
like in the second
And it's not
story.
like we're the only people. It's not like I pulled these stories out of my ass and was like, hey, I think Dogman did it. Like, no, these are stories that, like, in addition to the Dogman community, other people are questioning them.
Yeah,
People with no affiliate. And for good reason, I think.
yeah. I'm yeah.
So,
This last one, like I
that's my
said,
2 cents on it.
the last one definitely a dog ban. The other two,
Yeah.
there's other possibilities. The first one, undecided on. I feel like there are hundreds and hundreds of theories you can throw and hope one sticks. But the second one, that one was kind of pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, there's the Brenda Hamilton one is extremely sad. I mean, the Christopher Allen Whiteley too, but just he died. At least he died quickly.
Yeah.
Poor Brenda suffered.
Yeah, that I think that's what makes that one worse, and another reason that I don't believe that's a dog man. But second one definitely a murder. Last one definitely dog man.
100% Dogman. So when we first started this series, man, would you have ever said this is 100% Dogman?
Probably not, because I didn't
That's
have
how.
much knowledge on Dogman prior to like the one little, what was it, like a 45-minute episode we did back in
Yeah.
like almost 5 years ago at this point, if not
Yeah.
over 5 years ago.
And there was not the amount of information there is now.
No. So
That's kind of how I've kind of come in my Dogman journey, where at first I thought this sounds really fucking stupid. And now I'm at the point where when I leave for work and it's still dark, I'm a little wary.
ooh, that reminds me. In one of my episodes that I had to do a little bit of dog band research, I have audio clips for you.
Ooh. I have an audio clip that I have not pulled yet, but I can for the like wrap up episode.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. As usual, comments, questions, concerns, go to the email.
And yeah, just hopefully we'll see you again next week. Season 1, I think we're about halfway now at this point with season 1 with what we have on the document.
Yeah. We're making some progress. Of course, if you have any pertinent information about either of these cases, yeah, please tell us, but also more importantly, go to the powers that be.
Yeah.
Unless the sheriff is a werewolf. Don't tell him that you know, maybe.
And then maybe you can't tell us if he's a werewolf.
If you're a sheriff and a werewolf offended by anything you said in this episode because you're not the sheriff in question, let us know. We're so sorry. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a move. Oh no, I'm thinking of Velocipaster. That's what I'm thinking of.
I don't know what that is.
I feel like there's also a movie about a cop who's a werewolf, and he like uses it to help him fight crime. But I could be mistaken. Velocipaster is about a priest who can turn into a velociraptor.
I mean, I made assumptions. I made assumptions.
Anything else you want to add, Sage?
I think that's it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, then, in that case, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.